What's going on? Nick Fenton here. Let's take a quick look at the crypto markets.
To the sky, to the sky, we gon' fly every time.
Alright, today is November 14th, 2017. It's been a few days since I've done an update, and there's been a lot of moves that I've wanted to discuss, but I just don't have the time. I'm just really busy right now. But I decided it'd been long enough, I gotta talk about a few things. So, first of all, we'd pointed out this observation in Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin versus the US dollar. So the Bitcoin USD pair. And we'd mentioned this rising wedge. So some observations since last time we spoke about this. The price action tried to push through this rising wedge. We had a failed attempt here, a failed attempt here, and a failed attempt here. And what that ended up creating is a head and shoulders pattern. So here I've drawn the neckline for that head and shoulders pattern. We had the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. And right here we have the measured move. So this is from the top of the head to the neckline. So what I did is I cloned that measurement and pushed it over to here. And I had a short position that I put on right about here after the confirmed break, after it started to consolidate and retrace just a little bit. I was thinking it was going to retrace all the way to here, but I went ahead and put my order in. I didn't go full size, but I did put some on. So I ended up shorting Bitcoin and rode it down to this target. So it hit the target, then it popped back up and just continued that significant slide to the downside. Now we've seen it testing the support on that rising wedge. So we had a support test, bounce, second support test, bounce, strong bounce, and now what we're seeing here is this symmetrical triangle going on, and we're starting to break out of that symmetrical triangle to the upside. So it looks like this move should carry to around the 7,000 mark, and from there, honestly, no clue what it's going to do. We've seen a lot of weakness here recently, so we may see this move pan out and then a little bit of a pullback. But right now there's a lot of uncertainty with me in Bitcoin, so I've been seeking alternative options, and there's actually a lot of nice things going on here in some of these altcoins. So the first one to look at here is Ethereum, and if we go out to a 6-month, you can see we've got this really nice defined downtrend channel. And if you zoom in a little bit further, let's do a 3-month here. We had this, we'd actually talked about this in the past, this downtrend resistance, and we'd mentioned that it was starting to put some pressure on there. Well, it finally broke that downtrend resistance, and now we look like we might be making a run for this downtrend channel support, or resistance rather. So if we do get a break of this downtrend channel resistance, I think we could have a pretty significant run here in Ethereum. Until that takes place, I don't see a great opportunity here at the moment in Ethereum. I think there's some better opportunities out there. Next, we talk about IOTA, which I've mentioned in previous videos. I do hold a long position in IOTA that I just have in my IOTA wallet hanging out, and it has treated me quite well because I've averaged in between 33 cents, 35 cents, 37 cents, and built a decent position. And now it's sitting here at like 60 cents to US dollar. If we're looking at it versus the Bitcoin, here we've got a nice downtrend intact that we'd actually looked at already, and recently broke through that downtrend. It has since retraced, tested that downtrend resistance turn support, is holding pretty well. It looks like it might be coiling up for another run to the upside. So I'm actually still optimistic here in IOTA and have not taken profits yet. I'm still holding. Bitcoin Cash has been the talk of the town, and this is quite an insane run. If we look at this 3-month chart, again, another very defined downtrend, and also some very defined support right here at this level, about 0.05 Bitcoin. So significant move. I mean, we got as high as Bitcoin Cash being a half a Bitcoin. So it ran up to about 2,500. While Bitcoin dropped down about 55. I keep saying the Bitcoin. What's wrong with me? Must be bedtime, huh? So, significant pullback since. Again, I don't see any opportunity here. Of course, a great opportunity once it broke that downtrend resistance. But, just to be quite honest, it's just not something I was watching at the time. So I did not see this downtrend resistance break. Otherwise, I would have put some capital in it. But as you can see, it broke the downtrend resistance, came back, tested that resistance turn support, successful test, rallied, consolidated, and just went nuts. Amazing. Here we're looking at NEO, which I'm actually a pretty big fan of at the moment. So we've got this downtrend resistance break. We also have a bit of a consolidation channel. It was looking like a bull flag here for a moment, but I think at this point the flag has extended too much, and we can no longer really call it a bull flag, but we can call it a nice, bullish wind-up consolidation pattern potentially here. But I like NEO, and I'm actually going to probably scoop up some now that it's pulled back to this consolidation or uptrend channel. We'll call it consolidation wind-up support here. So I like NEO long for just a quick run, and where I'd be looking for it to go is I'd still might measure it as a bull flag move. So if we measure it right there and we take this, look for a breakout around here, then we're going to be measuring it to about 0.006 BTC, somewhere around that range. So I'd probably take profit at about 0.0057 just to be a little conservative there. NEO long looks like a decent dice roll. Monero, we have a lot of this going on here. We saw it in previous videos. I mentioned it. A lot of stuff winding up into the downtrend resistance, getting ready to break. Haven't really talked since then. And sure enough, we saw a lot of these downtrend breaks. I took advantage of some moves and made a little money, but Monero was not one of them. I like this move in Monero though. This kind of reminds me of what we just looked at in NEO. We had this nice break of downtrend resistance and a consolidation pattern, so a little bit of a bull pennant looking move here, bull flag, and then it boom popped up, fulfilled that measured move, winded up a little bit, and just continued to run to the upside. It looks like we've got a little bit of exhaustion here right now in Monero, so I'll probably stay away from that one for the time being. Here we're looking at Zencash, a really beautiful move here. Since then, just a bit of consolidation. Not seeing anything incredibly interesting. We could take a look at this situation here and just kind of draw some reference lines to keep in mind for the future. But right here, you could argue that maybe it's breaking this little modest uptrend support that we've seen. Probably better to zoom in on the 1 month, yeah. So, modest uptrend support, but I don't really know if that's a very valid argument because it's more consolidation here. So Zencash just kind of hanging out, nothing too interesting going on there. More so I would observe this downtrend resistance, and if we get a bust above there, then we could see some really nice continuation to the upside because this has been, had some nice strong price action. Litecoin is looking pretty interesting to me right now. And Litecoin, if we go to a 3-month chart, again, another downtrend channel, and we churned right into this downtrend resistance, broke the resistance, churned there on downtrend resistance turn support. Let's zoom in. So broke the downtrend channel resistance, tested this resistance turn support, success, pop. Tested resistance turn support again, success, pop. Third test of downtrend resistance turn support, success, pop. What was the catalyst to push us into that downtrend resistance and finally get that break? Well, we had a nice double bottom right here that, we've got one bottom and then our double bottom here. We had the double bottom measured move that pushed us into the downtrend resistance turn support, back to retest the double bottom resistance turn support level, then boom, pushed it through the downtrend channel resistance. We've seen a few tests. It almost created like a little, just a little churn pattern there, kind of a bit of a wedge pattern, and then popped right up nicely. Now we're seeing a little bit of exhaustion, but it is churning up, and I think possibly winding up to present us with a pretty decent bull run here, potentially in Litecoin. Not seeing anything that's screaming jump in right now, but I think I might do something here. I think it might be time for me to just put some new US dollars in and just introduce those into Litecoin rather than converting any more Bitcoin or any of these other currencies that I've dabbled in into Litecoin. So maybe just introduce some new capital. If I didn't have that luxury, then sure, convert a little bit of Bitcoin into Litecoin here, because it does look like it's setting up somewhat nice for potential move. I'm not fully convinced, but I also like this little support level right here. That looks fairly interesting. So we're just sitting right on that support level. It looks pretty interesting. We'll see what happens. Interested to see how this plays out. Dash has most certainly done exactly what its name insinuates, and we saw a significant dash to the upside. This is extreme relative strength to Bitcoin here, but as doing a similar pattern here to what we just saw in Litecoin, what we saw in Monero, this just a little bit of exhaustion pattern. So we're seeing that in quite a few of these altcoins. We'll be curious to see how this plays out. Vertcoin, looks like I tried to draw a few lines here, but nothing too interesting going on in Vertcoin at the moment. Zcash, we've got a bit of an uptrend channel. It's consolidating. Zcash is a little boring. And we've got EOS. So EOS is something that I noted as interesting, and reason being, let's zoom out first. We've got this nice solid downtrend that finally broke, and since it broke, we had a nice run up, but we've created a pretty decent uptrend going on here, especially if we look at the 1 month. And right here, we've got another bull flag. I've seen a lot of these bull flags in cryptocurrencies, and they tend to play out quite well, and their measured moves tend to come to fruition. So in this case, we would consider the breakout right about here, which we've already kind of seen the start of the breakout and a bit of a retracement here. So this might not be a bad time to hop in a little EOS and see if this bull flag move plays out, because that would put it right here at 0.0003 Bitcoin. I would probably look to take profits right around here at these previous highs resistance in the, we'll call it the 2.8s area. So in the 2.8, 2.9 area. Pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and put a little horizontal line there. So that would be my target. Or that would be where I would take profits. The real target's right here at the top of the measured move. But that would be where I would take profits. Just nice conservative profit taking opportunity there. That looks pretty interesting. I like rolling the dice on these bull flags here in these cryptocurrencies, because as you can see here, if we get a zoomed in view, we had a push, a retracement, and we could actually be going into the move right now. So pretty interesting. Decred, boring. Ripple, boring. Omise, go. So you can see I've added quite a few to my list here. I think I'm diving a little too deep in the rabbit hole at this point. I have not traded any of these that I've pulled up here recently. But you can see a downtrend going on here. And a break of the downtrend. Again, a little bull flag. It's extended a little too long, but that did push it through the downtrend resistance. There could be some bullish signaling going on here, but it doesn't look too liquid based on the price action I'm seeing here. That doesn't look like a lot of liquidity going on there. Gollum. I'm just running through a ton of these. Some of these I'm looking at for the first time, but why not take a look? Let's look together. Gollum looks nothing interesting that jumping out to me. Gnosis, nothing interesting there. Here we've got a nice little push up in Stratus and some consolidation. It looks like it's trying to make continuation to the upside. If we go out to a 6 month, Looks like I've played around on this chart too, but I don't know where those lines came from. Don't know what I was thinking with those lines, to be honest with you. Sometimes I get a little crazy. So here would be a little bit more valid. You know, some people only put their trend lines to touch the very tippy top of any move. You know, I'm not that picky with it. I just like it to touch where the majority of the peaks are. So you can see we had a peak here, you know, pretty good peaks here, but one of them went through it a bit. Peak here, peak here, peak here, right there. So I think that's a pretty valid trend line. Here we're looking at Oregon. Downtrend intact. It's going to need to break that downtrend for there to be any fun to happen. Auger, nothing good going on. Salt, flat. Basic attention coin, or basic attention token rather. Consolidating, showing a little bit of a pulse here. That's one to watch, I think. It looks like it's trying to wind up to the upside. So we had a huge dip. It's found some support and maybe winding up. I'll have to take a closer look at that later. Civic, nothing. District Ox, nothing. You're probably wondering where I'm even getting some of these. I essentially added everything that's available in the Exodus wallet on top of some other ones that I'm interested in. Funfair. I don't even know what Funfair is. I just added that one today. That's another one that's fairly new to the Exodus wallet. So there's our run through BTC. So I think the most interesting takeaways are NEO. I'm looking at this opportunity to convert some Bitcoin into NEO and hold some NEO, see if we can get a bump off of this support here, and look for an opportunity to take profits around the 5/6s. So around the 5/6s would be my profit taking target there. Also interested in Litecoin here, converting a little Litecoin. As far as a target, don't really have one. I would measure this move essentially kind of the height of the channel. So you could argue that the measured move has already taken place here, but I think it's kind of churning quite a bit, and it looks like it's, you know, just kind of bullish exhaustion, turning up a little bit, taking a little bit of a break before it winds up and heads a little higher there, potentially. And then lastly, EOS looked fairly opportunistic with this bull flag. When we look at the shorter term charts, we've got this nice bull flag. Could see a run up to where we had our target here. Our horizontal line is right at the 2.8s, roughly 2.9s. So the actual target for the bull flag would be around the 3s. So 2.8s, 2.9s, taking profits on a conservative run, looking for a bull flag break in EOS. So essentially, we're seeing a few altcoins here that are showing signals of potential bullish relative strength as compared to Bitcoin, which may mean that new money is going to come into these crypto markets and go into some of these altcoins, or that Bitcoin is going to weaken a little bit and some money is going to flow out of Bitcoin into some of these altcoins and make some of these moves come to fruition. And of course, the last option is none of these moves actually pan out and Bitcoin just goes, you know, through the roof. We'll see what happens. I've positioned myself into some NEO and going to look at some Litecoin and EOS right after this video. Hope you're doing well, hope you're trading well, and hope your bank account is growing.